like it feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright. Echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? It has been a very eventful 24 hours in this search for Nancy. It has been, it feels like we've been on the run for like 24 hours. I know it's a weird turn of phrase, but that's sort of what it feels like. It feels like, especially last night, every 5 minutes it was like some different update or some clarification of details. And the authorities today made it very clear that they are not going to play this on a point by point basis with the media, and that they had sort of grown tired of doing that. You know, you heard the sheriff today saying he had the media messaging him like 11:30 last night, trying to get details about what was going on, and he was like, enough, no more. So they have sort of closed down their press conference until Thursday. So they're not going to, unless something big happens, they are not going to do one. Now, yesterday they warned that they might do this, and they didn't. And then today they have now done that. So the media sort of ruined it for everyone. The media being so gung ho in some ways sort of ruined it for everyone. Hey, good to see you guys. How are you? Um, I want to talk about this photo first. I want to talk about this photo. So, in November and December of last year, I attended a trial for the death of Mr. Hunter in Dimboola in Australia. And this particular trial centered very heavily on blood splatter or spatter, or whatever they want to call it. But we had an expert at that trial who gave everyone, including the media, a crash course on what to look for in these type of photos. So I thought we could have a look at it, and at least I could tell you. I'm not an expert at it, but I could tell you what I can see from it, and I can tell you that. Well, actually, this is a bad photo. Hold on. This is not the version of it that I want to show you. There's a different one. Let me grab it. This one doesn't show it in detail enough. Here we go. There we go. All right. So, what can we see? Well, these drops of blood here, as you can see them all over the floor, are not really that concerning to me, and it's because they are quite large. The rate of blood doesn't seem to be that high. Like, it seems to be some sort of like somebody got whacked on the head and they got a cut and it's bleeding. But it's not like arterial. It's not that thick blood where you get it like layers of it and it becomes congealed and you get that real it almost looks like jelly, for lack of a better word. Almost like jelly. And you would have seen it if you looked at the Brian Koberger photos and you checked out the ones in the rooms of the victims. You would have seen a lot of that type of real heavy cut, heavy bleeding, that type of wound, right? But the one that does sort of worry me is this one up here, where you see this sort of like spray is sort of the way I'm going to say it, but I don't think it is. I think I'm almost concerned whether it is spray or it's a larger grouping of blood. I'm not quite sure from the photo that we're looking at, but this is the bit that concerns me more than just these drops of blood everywhere. This doesn't really get me concerned, but this does. This sort of like spray mark here, almost like, could it be I was almost thinking like, could it be something like when people get aerated, like blood that's been aerated or something like that? But I'm not sure. But it just tells me that it's not super heavy. It's not super heavy. It's not arterial bleeding. At least it doesn't look like it. Thank God. It looks like more somebody's like whacked somebody over the head or some sort of injury like that. So that tells me at least for this part, we haven't seen what's inside of the home. I would say this is not what they would probably consider unsurvivable. This is one of the things they look at in these crime scenes, especially with the blood. They'll look and be like, okay, to get this type of blood, there's a rate of like X amount of mils per the guy who does the blood splatter can do that kind of math, and it's sort of a guess, but they can sort of say, hey, look, this is not a fatal injury, this is survivable, or this might need medical care, that type of thing. At least from here, except for that top bit where you see this kind of fragmentation or spray is what I'm going to use. There's a little bit of clumping here, and I don't mean to get really gross and vulgar, but just here, there's a little bit of clumping right here, and that's concerning. And I don't understand um, why just here and nowhere else. There's a little bit here too that's a little thicker, but that could be from being disturbed or something like that. But it's this bit here that's sort of concerning. Um, I hope she's okay. Yeah, like I was trying to think of the word. It's not aeration. It's I can't remember off the top of my head. Aspirated. Aspirated. That's what I sort of thought that looked like aspiration of blood. Um, Rather than these actually look like some sort of injury that's slowly bleeding, this almost looked like blood being aspirated. And yeah, so I don't know if it is. I don't know if she had like maybe they whacked her in the mouth and she's got like a mouth injury or something like that. But yeah, yeah, she had a pacemaker. That was in the original 911 call. She has some health issues, high blood pressure. She has a pacemaker. She takes medication to deal with some heart issues, and poor lady needs that medication every day. We're moving past that first 48 now, which is very, very disturbing. Yeah, I which tells me that it's someone standing straight up. It's not like coming from a direction or something like that. It's like almost when this is right near the area where that missing, I'm going to put it in quotation marks, missing camera is. It could be that on their way of exiting this home, they stopped for a second to remove that camera and they had Nancy with them, leading to the blood here while they removed that camera. Just a, a, con- just a theory. Rachel said, more concerning to me is her meds, especially for someone who has to take it every day. If you've ever been on daily medication, if you've ever been like a day late, like to go to the chemist and pick it up or whatever, I don't know if they do this in America, but they do it here. They'll put like a little sticker on your medication and they're like, this medication cannot be interrupted. And, they're basically telling you off. They're like, hey, don't mess with the medication. Don't skip days. You have to take this every day. Don't, come in late, come and get it on time. But they do that here. It should be in the cloud. That we'll talk about that in a minute. I found that very interesting, some of the details that he was talking about today about the cameras. We'll talk about that in a minute. I have some information about that. But yeah, anyway, that's my take on this. Is that I'm more concerned about this and not really about these. It's this and why this is like this is what I'm concerned about anyway. Um, all right. What was the other topic? Someone brought it up here. Yep, she had a pacemaker. We know that. Meds. Yeah, it is concerning. Anytime anyone has to take their medication daily for something as serious as maybe like high blood pressure, a heart condition, blood thinners, the sheriff was saying that after 24 hours, it could be fatal. It's really sad. It really is. Marlene says Walmart texts you when you are due, and they will do it over and over again. Oh, really? Even if you're not out. Oh, that's a good reminder. Danny said, I can't imagine she could survive this. I think survivability would depend on what the crime scene inside the house looks like as well. What did they find in there? Um, I mean, any sort of blood when you have a missing person will tell you that there's something wrong, but they were very quick to call in homicide squad. And it's like, well, what did you find? And they haven't told us yet. Um, Montana said, is she diabetic? Is she on blood thinners? There was a couple of things here. Let me look it up. There was a couple of things here. There was a 911 call that was released, and this had some of her medical details in it. I'm gonna try grab it for you just so we can listen to it together. Is it this one? Duh, duh, duh. I thought I had it on my links. Maybe I don't. Hmm. I thought I had it. Maybe I do not. Okay, I must not have it. Don't know why. I thought we had it for tonight. That's okay. We'll use this one here. We're gonna we're gonna
a white female.
Hey, get off my screen. Yeah, we're gonna have to go back. Oh, I hate these Fox ones. They're so annoying.
No, Nancy, Nancy.
Yeah, let me pause it and we'll go back. Stupid thing. This is why I like to use my own files for stuff. Yeah, let's take the volume all the way up. And now it's crashed. Oh, we broke it.
Nancy, a white female, 84 years, Bethany Beach, 5C medium build, Pineapple Blue. Nancy has high blood pressure.
Nah, that's a shit one. That's a shit one. I'm gonna get a better one. Hold on, that's shit. That's terrible. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just read it to you. They're saying here that on that audio that you could listen to it, we couldn't decipher. They're saying Nancy, a white female, 84 years of age, 5 feet 2 inches tall, medium build, brown hair over blue eyes. I think they just meant brown hair and blue eyes. Nancy has high blood pressure, a pacemaker, and cardiac issues. They're saying here she had a pacemaker that synced with her Apple Watch. They're saying that a report has come out that stopped syncing with each other around 2 a.m. on Sunday. So either she moved out of range of that watch or it was deliberately disconnected somehow. I don't know which. I don't think it has been said which it might be. Here, is that the camera? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I'll change a photo for you guys. Here's where that camera was supposed to be if you haven't seen it. Right here. Typical, like, Ring doorbell, something like that. One of those brands that do the doorbell cameras. And that looks like a police card probably put there for the family. But yeah, not there. Missing. It's got the bracket, but there's no camera. And then right below it is that other photo I showed you with the blood. So it's possible that when they were leaving, wanted to get that camera, they had to stay for a period of time. Let's see. Montana says electrophysiologist has me on daily blood thinner. I bleed a lot if you just poke me. I'm not sure if that's a invitation or I don't know. We don't do that type of show here. Worried that if it was a serious bleed, I'd have a hard time stopping it. Mrs. Ping was on blood thinners for 6 months after her surgery last year, and we had to be very careful. Like, I didn't let her chop vegetables. I didn't let her do anything because I was worried. And she's cut herself a couple of times with a knife, like pretty bad. And I was like, let me just do all the stuff with the sharp, pointy things while you're recovering, because I was so paranoid she was going to slip with the knife and get a really bad cut. And bleed to death or something like that. She was actually in the shower and she was shaving her legs and she slipped, and the razor cut her leg around the ankle, and it just absolutely bled for an age. Like, there's like no stopping it when you're on those bloody blood thinners. We had to like get a bandage and like really put a lot of pressure on it, really like clamp it down for a long period of time. She just like called me in the shower and she's like, "Oh, I said this, I'm bleeding everywhere." So I get it. They're pretty scary. You got to be very careful. Gayla said you need a shower stall. She did have one. I don't know what happened to it. She did have one. I mean, we don't have one of those ones where it has a built-in like seat. Some of them have like the tiled area where you can sit on it if you're a girl or a boy and you want to do your legs or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to ask her. I don't know what she did with it. But yeah, I get it. Those blood thinners, they can do some damage. Hey, how are you? Anna, hey Anna, how are you? It is hot. It's hot down here. It was supposed to be like 90 degrees down here and it's not. It's really cool for some reason. I don't know what happened to the 95-degree day that we are supposed to have, but it's down into the 60s, 70s. Hold on, maybe I'm wrong. Equals F. No, that's not how you do that. It's about 75 degrees here right now, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Was supposed to be like 95. Don't know what happened to the 95-degree day, just disappeared. So it's actually quite nice here today. I'm sorry it's hot where you are. Danny said there are certain foods you can't eat on blood thinners. High K foods don't eat. Ah, yeah. High foods with K, that's like things like silver beet, spinach, stuff like that. That's also for people who have like the factor 5 thing. If you're factor 5 and you're a person who gets a lot of blood clots or are prone to them, you can't eat the foods high in the vitamin K either. So we know all about that because Mrs. Ping is also factor 5. So we've had to deal with that a lot as well. Montana said, "Glad you're getting some relief from the heat for a bit." Yeah, it's been a funny summer. The first part was actually quite cool, and then into January after New Year, it's been hot like all the time, every day. It's been very summer down in the south here throughout the last month or so. All right, let's continue. So she has some health issues. We know that. And then showed you the blood thing. Yep, we talked about that. All right, let's talk about the money because this is what I really want to talk about because I think it's weird. If you were going to do a ransom note, wouldn't you want to give it to the family or get it done as quickly as possible, right? You don't want to be holding on to an 84-year-old lady for multiple days that has mobility issues and needs medication, because if your captive dies, well, you ain't going to get no reward or no, ransom or whatever. And the fact that they sent it to TMZ of all places to send it to, not the PD, not the sheriff, not the FBI, not the family, not the daughter, not the sister. They sent it to TMZ, and they sent one to K-Gun as well. I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious that every time there's someone who's missing or kidnapped or something like that, there's these scam artists who always want to get in on the action, and they will make up a note like this, and they're like, "Send it to us in Bitcoin," which is just happens every time. Now, I find that also a bit strange that they're asking for it in Bitcoin. You can trace Bitcoin. As much as people like to say it's not traceable and that's how people get away with money. There has been some very big scams in Bitcoin where people have stolen millions and hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin and they've never been able to use it because they can't change it from Bitcoin into cash because if you do that, you have to link it to a bank account and you will eventually get caught because they will find out the wallet that you sent it to then turn it into real hard cash, and then you found the person who did it. There was a scam a few years ago where someone broke into a crypto exchange, stole hundreds of millions, and it's still sitting there in a wallet today because they can't change it. If they change it into cash, they'll get caught. So there are some things you can do. Like a there is a there's a thing on one of the blockchains where you can send the money in and it sort of spins it around and exchanges it for other people's crypto, and then you get back their crypto and it sort of mashes it up into tiny pieces. It's even if you do that, it is still traceable. So I think I would worry that this is just someone trying to get some quick Bitcoin out of a terrible situation because you would want to send it to the people who can get you the money, right? What's a news station going to do to get you the money? Nothing. Nothing at all. The place where you're going to get the money is from the family. They're the ones you wanna target the daughter, she's the one who's made a lot of money in TV, you would try get it to her, and you would try get it to her through social media, through the PD or something like that. It just seems very odd to send it to 3 different news stations, and they're like, "Whoa, it has details that only the person who was there would know." They are very good at reading these type of situations, and I've seen it in some other cases where they've been able to guess correctly about certain things enough to fool people into thinking that, "Oh my god, this must be the real kidnapper." Because they just sort of guess what would happen in a burglary or what would happen in a kidnapping, and they sort of just fudge their way through it and guess some details to make it seem legitimate, and it's happened a bunch of times, unfortunately. So, I that's why, when the sheriff was talking today, they asked him about the ransom, and he just sort of went, "Ah, there's a lot of leads that we're looking at." Not that I didn't think he was taking it seriously. I just wonder if they also may think that this is just some opportunistic Bitcoin crime gang from overseas somewhere trying to get some money. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you, another Danny. Gail said, do you know she lived in Australia until she was 2, then the family moved back to America? Which one? The mum or the daughter?" Rachel said, "Sending to the news was just weird. I think it's probably someone taking advantage." Anytime like a little kid goes missing, anytime there's like some news where there's an opportunity for money, there's always people willing to uh make stuff up to try and get it. Like back in the day, back in the 90s, the 80s, even before that, when a child would go missing, the psychics would come out of the woodwork. There would be people that would contact the families and be like, "Oh, if you just pay me like 10 grand, I'll use my psychic powers to take you to your daughter. And that was this basically the same thing, but just done in a different way back then. And it happened quite frequently. Still happens today. Rachel said, yeah, sending to the news was weird. I agree. I don't think it was easy either. Donna said, if it were real, the note would have gone to the family. That's what I think too. I think if this was a real thing and you wanted to get that money as fast as possible, why would you send it to the news outlets? What is that going to do for you overall? All it's going to do is bring more publicity to what you're doing. And you don't want that, because that means the heat on you is just going to get more and more and more. And if you're someone who is holding a victim, you don't want more people knowing, because if you ever try to move, if you ever try to because you might have to go into public for some reason, you're going to get found out really quickly. So I think it's very strange. Montana said, think all the details being put out in misdirections. Think they already know or have a good idea who they're looking for. I was just about to say the same thing, that we've seen in some other cases where the authorities will just let everything run. They won't push back on it. They won't correct anything, and they'll just let whatever happen, and they won't like verify anything. They'll just be like, "Oh, that could be it. Oh, that could be it too." And it's normally because in the background they have something they're working on, and they just want everyone to focus on that, and they're doing something completely different, which could be exactly what is going on right now. Because I found it weird that the cops are like, we don't want to talk to you for 48 hours. We're not going to talk to you until Thursday. And it sounded like they had something they were working on, because he was very antsy today. Did you see him in the press conference? He was very antsy at that press conference. He was very like, oh, no, I don't know. And then he was like, oh, I got to go. And he really just didn't want to be there. Almost like they had something else that they wanted to go and do. All right, hold on. Let me show you what I mean. Let me show you. Hold on. Let me try and get the one from earlier today. Let's do this one. If it'll ever play. There we go. Should play in a second.
I believe it was around noon yesterday, we got a call to the Guthrie residence that Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, was missing. We expended.
That's the wrong one. That's the one from 2 days ago. Why that came up as today? Let me go. We might have to go to ABC Family. All right. We'll go to this one. Hopefully it's the right one. Yeah, it is.
And so job number one is we got to find her, and we got to work hard to do that. I understand there's great attention on this, and rightfully so, and I appreciate it, and I thank you for it, because it has generated a lot of leads for us. And so we're tracking those leads, and we're doing things with evidence that you would expect us to be doing. So having said that, we're going to set this up. I know that a number of you yesterday, you guys drove me crazy. Yesterday, I was going from AM to all the way to 9, 10, 11, midnight, answering concerns and questions, and it's just too tough. And it's not fair to the case. So what I'm going to tell you is today, we're going to do this similar to what we're doing right now. Here we'll take questions. It's not really my briefing, it's your briefing. You'll be able to ask us some questions. We'll probably shut you off after a while because I just can't be here all day. We have work to do. But we'll take some questions, and then in a couple of days, unless something breaks, we'll do this every couple of days. So, and we'll set up with you through our PIO teams to give you anything that comes up that might change, but clearly they will notify you on these.
So it wasn't too bad to start the front of the press conference, but if we get down the back here, we'll go down here. It gets very like emotive.
Any kind of physical evidence, fingerprints, anything, and all of that is gathered and submitted to a lab. That lab will report back to us what they find. So far, that what we found from that lab is nothing that would tell us this is who did this.
We'll take a couple more questions and then the sheriff's got to go.
Sheriff, can you walk through the evidence that was found at the scene in as much detail as possible?
No, I cannot.
What is the bottleneck to the surveillance footage? I know you said some of it is in the cloud, but you've also been reached out to tech companies that are saying they're cooperating. Why do not have the surveillance footage on media?
That's what I tell them. How come I don't have this? Where's my evidence? It is a process, and I'm sorry, but you know, we're grateful that there's large corporations and companies who have bent over backwards to help us, to say, hey, Sheriff, tell us what you need. And so, yeah, I can't slam them. And we've asked them. They know the urgency here, but I'm like you. What do you mean I don't know that now? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very confused by that. Let's just say it's a Ring doorbell. I don't know what brand of doorbell she had. Ring are like notorious for being able to access people's videos. There was a whole lawsuit about it, like, I don't know, 5-7 years ago, where they were actually storing people's like nudity and, you know, people having sex on their couch and things like that. They were storing it. So why would it take multiple days unless, like, is it encrypted? Does it go to a server where if you don't have the key to the encryption, you can't access it? Is it something like that where it's the key is only between the client and, you know, something else where they can't physically access it easily on their back end? I would like to know that too. Like, what is taking so long? If you have direct access, like, some of the companies have been reached out to by the press and they're saying that they're cooperating, but interesting that they haven't got anything yet. I know, and look, some of these tech things take a while. They take a while if you have to do things or search for stuff randomly, or it's something where you can't just be like, oh, it's Nancy Guthrie that lives over here at 84 whatever, and you can pinpoint it fast. Maybe it's something that they can't do like that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Normally, you can ring these companies up, provide a warrant, and 24-hour turnaround. You probably have it most times. Not all the time. There are exceptions. There are things that take a long time, but normally, just for like a Ring doorbell, it's pretty quick. Donna said an elderly person would give the code to the family. I don't think an elderly person would even know what it is most of the time. Most of the time. Some elderly people are really good with computers and understand the concept. Most of the time it would be they would have either a family member or a tradesman come in and they would set it all up and, that type of thing. I don't think it would be something that they would be doing manually. Hey Lennox, how are you? Sheriff reminds me of James Garner, Rockford Files, Space. He does a little bit, yeah, he does. Kim says, please don't often disclose everything. Yeah, I don't think I'm the only one here that for at least the last today and yesterday believe that whatever they're putting forward to the public there seems to be a disconnect between the public and what they're doing. It almost seems very obvious that there's some sort of like they're keeping a big gulf between what they're willing to say and what's actually going on. Because apparently this afternoon, they had a helicopter searching at the back of her property and it was doing loops for like a long period of time. And they had someone hanging out of the helicopter doing something. And I was like, wow, do they think she's nearby? Do they think she's been dumped out the back in the foothills? So interesting. JDR said there was blood. Yes, we talked about that already. You're late. You get a tardy mark. Here you go. Ta-da. There you go. Blood for you. Yeah, we already talked about it. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I feel like there's a huge disconnect between. It almost just seems like they're trying to keep the media busy. Like they're like, hey, if we give them a little bit of like this and that, they'll frenzy, and then we'll just go work over here, because that's what it feels like. Gail said he said in that press conference there wasn't any. No, that's not what he said. He said he wasn't willing to say what it was or where it was, whether it was indoors or outdoors. That's what he said. He didn't say there wasn't any blood. He said he wasn't going to say where it was or if it was blood or if it was located, because I think the journalist asked, can you tell us, like, I think her question was, can you tell us anything about the blood that you found inside? And then his reply was, I'm not going to tell you whether it was inside, outside, whether it is blood or not blood, something like that anyway. Yeah, that's what, yeah. So not that he said it wasn't blood, just that he wasn't going to say what it was or where it came from or where it was located. But as you can see, there is at least some out the front of the property. Let's see. Hey, my friend. Hey, Four Sons Mom. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. You're in. Are you okay? Kaliza said, "Ping. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, Kaliza, how are you? Outdoor tiles. Yes, that is exactly what they are. Very good observation of you. That might also be a doormat. There you go. There's some real web sleuthing for you. A doormat, and it's blue. There you go. Chalk that up for clues. All right. Let's keep going. Let's go here. All right. I want to talk about, there's been a couple of people doing interviews today, ex-CIA, ex-FBI, that type of thing, talking about what kind of suspect there might be. And there was one news agency that came out with sort of like a profile. They were saying that it could be a male between 30 and 40 years old. And I was like, it's it's a very average guess, isn't it? Like it could be, but it could also be like a 23-year-old. We've had a lot of youth driven crime or youth or young people driven crime in a lot of the cities, whether it's Melbourne, Arizona, New York, California, that type of thing. So Rachel said, I think this sheriff is nervous and not used to all this national media. He did say in the press conference that he is not used to this much media and that it was making him a little on edge, because he was like, anything he says, people dissect it down to a single word. And I think that's yesterday he sort of gave a general sort of meaning to something, and then the media ran with it, and then he had to go back earlier today and then correct it. And that was that Nancy was dragged from her bed, and that's not what he meant. He says that he was just speaking in a general tone, but the actual thing was she had been forced from her home against her will. Not that she was dragged from her bed as such, just forced from the property. So he said he has to kind of remember to speak more clearly and to speak with more meaning, instead of like, this is how rumors get around. Kelly said, I think he's very frustrated and overwhelmed. You would be too when you have 70 media contacting you at 11:30 at night. That's what he said was going on, and that's why there was all these little tidbits of updates coming out throughout the night last night, is because ABC Family would contact him and get something. CBS down the road would contact him and get something. The local Fox affiliate would contact him and get something, and it was just never ending throughout the evening. And he was saying that he felt like he wasn't being able to be devoted to the case enough, which I think he's just trying to be a good guy and do his best for the media. But I think he sort of had to go, there's a line. And that's why they're doing it like this. In this press conference, if you watch the entire thing earlier today, he said, this is the way they're going to do it from now on. They'll give their update and then they'll sort of do a question and answers period where the press sort of run the interview and they can just sort of ask whatever they want and he'll give them an answer if he can. And he said that's the way they're going to do it from now on because he doesn't want to be harassed at 11:30 at night by the media. So I get it. JDR said speak more clearly and not use slang. Yeah, I think in some other cases it probably wouldn't be as bad, but when there's such a void of information and then everyone sort of hangs on everything he says, if you sort of misstep with your speaking and say something that's more like a generality, yeah, this can happen. And yeah, so he recognized it, said he would fix it, and he did. So that's a good leader. That's a good leader when they recognize their fault and then correct it. Khaliza said, not necessarily connected to her daughter being in the news. I don't know. There's a theory going around, and I don't know if any of you heard this. So we're gonna have to put that big banner up, that imaginary banner right here. Can you see it? That says, "Take this with a giant grain of salt. The size of a boulder in Colorado." I know it's a very long title. We'll figure out an acronym. Um, there is a theory going around. Actually, there's two. One is that there could be a neighbor involved. I'm not verifying that, and I'm not saying that I have any inside information that is true. But someone brought it up today that maybe there's a neighbor involved. The other one was that the statistical likelihood of an 84-year-old going missing randomly is like 0.1% of all kidnappings worldwide or something like that. And that most likely it's normally connected to someone that's intimately, not just known, but intimately known to that elderly person. And I find that interesting. So Linux says giant grain of salt. That's right. Giant grain of salt, like a boulder in Colorado. But those are the two things that I had seen bandied about today was more than likely known to the victim. And then someone was bringing up that there was a neighbor acting odd and that they thought, hey, could it be someone who lives in her street or something like that? There was also something the media brought up the other day that a few days before she went missing, there was a reported prowler in the neighborhood. There was a reported someone in the neighborhood in the evening that didn't seem right, and the neighbors had taken note of it. So I don't know what that means. They did ask the sheriff about it. He did not give an answer on that. So I don't know. Khaliza said, yes, I think a neighbor or someone she sees in her daily life. Donna says, like the lady found under a cement slab. Was that the lady? Was that the lady in the trailer park from like a year ago? Do you guys remember that in California, where the people went missing and it was the neighbor, and that he had dug a hole under his trailer or whatever and made like some fortified room, and the bodies were under there. Yeah, so like I mean that happened. It ended up being a neighbor. So was it the handyman? There's been a couple, but there was that one in that nudist colony or whatever it was in California like a year and a half ago, which was strange and involved more older people. Lisbeth said, I would like to know the stats of how many hostages are typically released after ransom being paid versus killed. Anyway, I seem to remember the only cases in which the kidnapper persons were killed regardless. I think it's not that common that even if you pay the money, that you get the person back. I think it often ends up in a bad situation because even if you give the kidnappers money, there's oftentimes that police want to catch the people who did the kidnapping, and it ends up being in a firefight, and people get killed, and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know that particular one. I'll have to look it up. Donna said the bloke was he was a handyman. Okay, it's been a while since I looked into that one. Gail said he owned the place. It was married couple and their dog. That's right. I remember we covered it at the time, and I don't remember what happened after that. I think they caught him. Did they catch him, or like did he do the S word? I really cannot remember. It's been a while. Um, let's have a look. Yeah, I would seem to suggest it is not common that people actually pay the ransom out. I would think that the only ones I can sort of think of are things like Somali pirates when they have done it when ships have been hijacked and the companies actually paid the demand and then they've somehow got the tanker back. They're the type of ones I can kind of think of where a ransom has been paid out and people have lived. But an actual this type of kidnapping, I can't think of too many where a multi-million dollar payout has been completed and then people have survived. Do you guys hear that? I think that might be Elvis. Not Elvis like the singer. Elvis the helicopter. Let me check if it is. It's not. Elvis flew over. It's not Elvis. I think its name is Christine. But we have those Ericsson Sky Cranes at the moment in Victoria, and one of them is housed at an airport about 5 minutes from my house. So every time they get called out to a fire, they fly over my house. So, and you can tell it like we get a lot of helicopter activity, and helicopters, sound like helicopters. When an Ericsson Sky Crane goes over your house, it sounds like Thor, the god of thunder, is trying to use a helicopter to break into your house. That's what it sounds like. They are so loud, those Ericsson firefighting aircraft. But yeah, flew over the this morning. Elizabeth said it does sound like this ransom thing is BS. Yeah. The thing that really upset me is it's annoying how gleeful TMZ were over it. Did you see these mother effers on the friggin' streams and TV shows and that? Did you see that? They were all like, "Oh, we got a ransom. Oh my god, look how important and fun we are. Oh, we sent it straight to the police after we did a live stream, posted an article, talked about it on Twitter, and then contacted all our friends and family and told them how important this was." Um, yeah, I was like, "There's a woman missing. Her life is in danger, and you're all online gloating about it to anyone who'll listen." I was like, "Wow, the height of ethical, journalism, it is strong with these people." Yeah, that was, some of the other news stations actually did the right thing. They didn't post about it. They shut the hell up and forwarded it to the authorities. It was only after TMZ broke the story that they had to go public with it because they're like, well, it's already out there now. But yeah, TMZ walking around like with a giant sign saying, "Look how important we are." Woman of Steel said they get a little publicity and lose their minds. Yeah, they did a live show and they were like, "Oh my god, we got an email," and then they had one of their little like underlings joining every like newscast around the country talking about it. And they're like, "So you got an email?" And he's like, "Yeah, we got an email." They're like, "What was in the email?" And he's like, "Oh, it was a ransom. Can you tell us anything?" He's like, "Oh, not really. They demanded some Bitcoin." It was, yeah, that's all he could say. It's pretty funny. Um, Kelly says, "I don't know how anyone takes TMZ as a serious media outlet. They are literally a gossip magazine, a TV show." Yeah. I don't know why they're diving into true crime. I guess because everyone is watching it. Uh, TMZ is cringy. It is a little bit. False. I look when they're doing stuff like why Britney Spears is driving down the highway at 130 miles per hour and then shaved her head off. Sure, this type of thing, not really. Four Sons Mom says, doesn't Sheriff Nanos have SIO? Yes, they had. No, it's not SIO. It's a PIO, Public Information Officer. They had a PIO at the press conference. I've been in contact with his PIO as well. Nice lady, really nice lady. And yes, he has a PIO. I don't know why they were contacting the sheriff directly and not going through the PIO. Probably because the PIO was saying, "Go to bed, you vultures. We'll talk to you in the morning." And then they're like, "Wait, that's not a good answer." And then they're like, "Hey, let's try and annoy the sheriff." So yeah, I think it was more like they weren't getting the answers that they wanted, so they just went around the information officer. They do get some stuff right. Yeah, every now and then. Every now and then they get a bone. All right, let's see what else we have. So, what do you guys think is going to happen tomorrow? Sheriff said unless something big happens, like a big breaking news, we're not going to hear from them. Do you guys think we're going to get a big break in the story tomorrow? That's what I would like to know. I think we're going to probably get a break tomorrow. I think these things go one of two ways. They sort of burn bright and fast, or they go on for a really long time. They don't sort of do both. So they either flare up and then die off quickly and they get solved quite fast, or they go on for like 9 weeks. I have a funny feeling this one's going to be done and dusted by Saturday. I think my opinion is I think the authorities already know who is involved. And I think this whole like, oh, we don't have the cameras and we don't know what was on the CCTV and we don't know what the neighbors one says. I think they already know. Guys, give me 1 second. Sorry, the air conditioning was making me like wanting to cough. And I was like, I don't want to do that into the microphone. Yeah. So I think we're gonna find out. Okay, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe by the day after. It's gonna be. I think we're either gonna have a lot more information and know who we're looking for, or they will have found her. They will have found her. I this is one of the things I also heard today. A lot of people think that she's in Mexico. I know they're close to the border. So one of the prominent things going around online is not from authorities. People think that she may have been taken by like something like the cartel and taken across the border into Mexico. I don't know about that. I think I mean it's happened before in Texas and Arizona, but that was another thing that people were talking about today. Rachel said, I saw that the sister's car had been towed. Maybe just, yeah, they were at the sister's house today. and they brought over a bunch of files and things like that. I don't know why they would have taken the car, maybe just to rule it out, maybe to rule out that the family aren't involved. You know what they do in these investigations? They always start with the family. So maybe they just want to rule it out. Woman still said, I think they will find the poor lady dead, I'm sorry to say. Was Ellie smart enough to track her pacemaker? I think they said that the pacemaker stopped being synced to the Apple device at 2 a.m. So that's probably where it ends. Kelly said, I don't think she is there. Would be no reason to take her there. I wonder too. Lisbeth said, why would the cartel do that unless a family member had some bad dealing with the cartel? I got no idea. I don't know. Um, I just read about it in a paper. They were saying like, hey, there had been kidnappings in Arizona before, and that people had been taken across the border for a ransom, and it had happened previously. But I don't know. I don't know if it's this particular case. She's gone. Okay, that's a good like a polling question. And I hate to be so macabre. How many of you think at this point in time tonight she is alive somewhere? And then how many of you think unfortunately this poor lady has left this world? How many of you think that she is not with us anymore? I'd like to see the split on the viewers and who thinks what, because I don't know. Not alive, not alive. Kim says won't end well. Yeah, do one for alive and two for not here in the chat if that's easier for you guys. Kelly says Tucson gets its share of crimes related to be so close to the border, but it seems like a stretch. A lot of people with the two. A lot of people with the two in the chat. I mean, have we all become so jaded in true crime that we just think everyone's being killed? I it's not a funny subject, Ping. I mean, I could see where everyone may go with that idea. Um, Tomorrow would be like over 72 hours by the time we get through the day tomorrow. I think it'll be over 72. That's a long time for a woman who has a pacemaker, needs daily medication. She would be battling through it unless she got some sort of medical help. So I hope she's okay. Kelly says, I think so. Yeah. Woman of Steel said, if they got her med, she might be okay for a bit without her pacemaker, though. Yeah, it could be bad. Gail said, yes, and then if she's alive, it's a nice surprise. Yeah, the medication's a bad one, especially when the sheriff was so adamant that after 24 hours it could kill her. It could actually kill her not to have it. So Montana said she'd know who took her. They'll not want a witness. Lisbeth said her heart is hardly going to survive this, especially if she's on a ton of medication. She has high blood pressure and takes medication daily. What hold on, guys. There we go. Yeah, I think we're um all a bit thinking in the same direction, unfortunately. The blood was a worry. I think it's survivable unless there's like a ton more on the inside of the home that we've not seen. But the one that they had in that photo, I don't think it's unsurvivable. I think it doesn't look that bad, as you can see. This is not like a rapid amount of blood that's going to cause someone to bleed out. So I'm not that concerned with the blood, unless there was like, a lot more on the inside of the home. That is not a massive amount. Like when you saw the Coburger ones and just how much of it was in those rooms, then that is an unsurvivable amount of blood. Like the one you see in the Coburger, that is someone who's completely bled out, someone who's had catastrophic injuries and has completely lost all the blood in their body. Like this is someone who's got a nasty cut on them. Yeah, it's not that much. Hmm. Carlisa said it could have been an injury that the kidnapper got. No, they already DNA tested it, I think. And I think they said it was her blood, not, at least I think so. They said that the DNA test came back and it was her blood. I don't know if they mean the one outside the door or the one inside of the home, but they DNA tested some blood and it came back as hers. So Warner still said, I hope she is fighting back, being that she is a strong lady who has raised very strong daughters. I would think she would try. They could adjust. Okay. Yeah. Kim says my puppy was spayed yesterday. She is keeping me busy. There you go, everyone. Breaking news from Kim. Dog got spayed. More news at 10. It seems like a breaking news type thing. Kelly J said, well, that's what the media is saying. The sheriff wouldn't admit to any blood. Yeah. I think we're just playing semantics. I mean, this doesn't look like uh it's not cranberry sauce. We're not going to get Ocean Spray out here doing a a live commercial saying somebody dropped their jar of Ocean Spray cranberry. Let's yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. Gail said, "Show me the puppy. Show me the money." All right. That's a good point. I can't tell you how I know this, but I will tell you this. Things like Fitbit and Apple Watches are going to become very important as the technology gets integrated into people's lives, which it is already. I think they're saying something like 18% of the population owns a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or a Samsung Galaxy Watch. As these technologies become more ingrained and people wear them a lot more, I think we're going to see them pop up in murder cases a lot more frequently because of their ability to show a pulse rate. And that sort of pulse rate, footsteps, energy usage, all those type of things, they can show you what happened to the person's body, before they die. And I think you're going to see them pop up in a lot more court cases. Now, from my understanding, there's not been very many court cases throughout the USA, the UK, or Australia that have successfully used it as the main evidence of a murder. And I've heard that it's only just recently starting to be tested in different courts of law around the world, that you can rely on these sort of Apple Watch data, um, Fitbit, that type of thing, as your main evidence. And it's sort of being tested in different courts now. So that'll be interesting. Um, I got one. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry, Mrs. Ping is messaging me. She wants to know. She wants to know what I'm having for dinner, and I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. Texas said, I wear my Fitbit every day. You do? I do not. Ping does not wear a watch. As you can see, I don't wear a watch. I don't wear anything on my wrists at all ever. I'm not a watch type of guy. I had a it's funny, I had a girlfriend when I was younger, and after being together for like a year or so, she bought me a nice watch. Never wore it. I never wore it. I just nah, never wore it. I'm not a watch dude. I've never worn one. Even when I was a kid, I never had like a Casio or a Seiko or anything. Never did it. Not a watch guy. Lisbeth said the data must be very reliable to do that, and some wearables are not that accurate. Yeah, there are some things that they're currently going through the courts in America and the UK, testing what or how reliable is the data under what circumstances in relation to murders. And you guys keep an eye out for that. I know there's one coming up in the UK, and I know there's one that is happening in America later this year. So, yeah, just keep an eye on that. Gail said, I can't wear normal watches as the time goes funny, like you're distorting the time of the world. Sure, sure. Must have a like polar magnet poles within you. Let's see. All right. Did we miss anything? Rachel said there was a court case in Indiana that a smartwatch helped clear a lady of murder, prove she was sleeping. There was another one that it I want to say it proved the guy killed his wife. I think so, or killed his wife or killed his mum. It was in California, I think, but it wasn't the only evidence. They only used it to prove that her pulse had stopped at a certain time, and they had other evidence to go with it. It wasn't used as sort of the main evidence to try and convict someone. It was used as like an add-on to the other evidence. Um, sorry, guys. All right, there we go. Kelly says my husband is like that. He drains watch barriers. What is a watch barrier? Oh, a battery. Okay, gotcha. I was like, what is a watch barrier? Montana says my mother could not wear watches either. My mom had a weird thing about wearing rings. Um, she had a weird thing about wearing rings, and when she wore rings, it deformed the ring into an oval shape. And every ring she ever owned, including her wedding rings, had deformed into an oval shape rather than a circular, like the normal shape of a ring. Don't know why, but happened all the time. Kim says we do carry phones around to tell the time. Yeah, I think a lot of people just use their phone. Khaleesi said, wasn't there one where the husband said a guy broke in and killed his wife, but her Apple Watch proved it was him? Yeah, I think that's the one I'm talking about, is that it was something to do with the Apple Watch and the time. Danny said, if they said where the dog is, they have not. So that is another thing. She did have a little dog, or there was a dog pictured in some media of her, and they haven't confirmed or denied where that animal is. And I've not seen anyone bring it up lately. So I don't know if the family has it, whether they found it in the home or it's missing. Don't know. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Gayla said, I wondered if she still had the little black dog. That's what people were saying, is that she does have an animal. I don't know if that's like if they found it. It could have been in the home, and that could have been one of the things they thought was very strange when they went to check on her when she didn't show up to church. they could have been like, okay, she would never leave her little dog here, like that type of thing. All right. Let me just check for one other thing here. There was one update that came up like an hour ago. No, I want to show it. Yeah, I'm going to take you to ABC 15 in Arizona.
Some strange developments today in the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. The sheriff here in Pima County confirming that several media outlets received ransom notes. They say that they cannot verify the legitimacy of those notes yet, but K-Gun, the Scripps news station here in Tucson, received one of those ransom notes demanding millions of dollars in Bitcoin. And they say if they didn't receive that payment by Monday, they threatened to kill Nancy Guthrie. Again, the sheriff here saying that they are looking into all of those leads. They can't verify that any of these notes are legitimate quite yet. They say it's just one of thousands of leads the investigators are now looking into. And today, new questions about how the crime scene here in Tucson has been handled.
We have a job to do, and we have someone's life who is in jeopardy. And so job number one is we got to find her.
The pressure on Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos is mounting. Days into this investigation, critical questions remain unanswered. Nancy's wallet, phone, medication, and car were all found at her home. But what else was discovered inside?
There are concerns at the house that concerned us from the early on part of this investigation, and that's all I will tell you.
On the front porch, a substance that appears to be blood. The sheriff won't confirm what it is or whether it's been sent for testing. And there's this. When we arrived Tuesday, no crime tape, no deputies. The sheriff says his team has released the scene back to the family.
We saw deputies leave around 6 o'clock last night. We didn't see tape go up. An Amazon driver was able to walk right up to the door. Is that pretty standard for how you handle this?
The scene is done. We're done with the residents. If we need to go back to get, maybe we want to do something with some other piece of evidence there, we contact the family and let them know. But we have turned that over to the family.
Do I find it, based on my experience, unusual they turn the house over so quickly? The answer is yes. But obviously they have their own reasons about that. But it did seem pretty fast.
Meanwhile, the sheriff's still waiting on crucial camera footage from Nancy's home. That video stuck in processing with cloud-based tech companies.
They know the urgency here, but I'm like you. What do you mean I don't know that now?
I've had issues with this over the years of getting into those cameras to see what they have on them. But usually within an hour or two, a rep from whatever company has the proprietary software can get in there and pull it out. So it's now been quite a while. You wonder what's going on there.
And the sheriff says he will be taking a step back from daily media briefings. We're not.
Yeah, I have the same concern about the cameras. Normally it's like, if it's not a couple of hours, it's like 12 hours, but they can do it. The fact that they've requested this through the companies over 24 hours ago, and they're still telling the media they don't have the video from those cameras, I'm a little shocked by that, considering I would guess it's probably a good brand name, something like a Ring or another industry type camera. I think it was posted somewhere on Twitter what brand it was, but I'm a bit weird about that. Liz says, any news about Trisha Graff? No new information about Trisha Graff at this time. I don't have anything new to give you. I'll just tell you that things are moving in the background, and that's all I know. That's the only update I have, is that things are happening, and I'm guessing they're trying to come to some resolution, but that's all I know at this point in time. Do you see my PM about Yasina being classed as murder by a medical examiner? What case is that? Which one? I know there's a couple. We did one in like Colorado. It was like a little girl. Her name was Yasina, or however you pronounce it. Which one? There's been a couple with that name. You're gonna have to be more specific. Norman? Oh, the girl who went missing in Phoenix. Or like, not Phoenix, West Valley. West Valley. Yeah. I know this one. Yeah. They found her body a little while ago. I got you. Maricopa County. Yeah. Rachel said, "I'm glad they're still investigating Trisha's case." Yeah, slowly, but it is happening. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Ina. Okay. Khaleesa said, two teen girls were kidnapped in Florida and taken to Nebraska. Yeah, I saw that one in the media. It was an Asian male that was picked up, and he had been luring them by uh, buying them home delivery food, like through Uber Eats or whatever, had been delivering food to them, and that's how he was grooming them. Basically, I did see that one. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Lady Justice can be a bit slow. We can, since we're in Phoenix, I can take you to that Fox. Is it Fox 10 that got the update on that girl? Let me have a look. Yeah, let me take you out to ABC 15 again.
After learning about Yesenia Norman's death, her mom came up from Tucson to meet with investigators and to get her belongings out of her townhouse. But this mom tells me she knew something was wrong over the MLK holiday weekend when calls to her daughter went straight to voicemail. Yesenia Norman spent Christmas in Tucson with relatives. The 18-year-old's passion was art. She was about to go to college and was learning to tattoo.
You can see she's learning. That's why I let her do the lettering.
Her mom, Jessica Calderon, says Ring camera video from January 15th captured Yesenia leaving her Phoenix townhouse to meet someone. Her mom says calls and texts afterward went unanswered.
And I noticed that she hadn't posted in 2 days, which is really unusual. Very unusual. She doesn't text me every day, but she's on social media every day.
Yesenia had been in DCS foster care for part of her life and was living in transitional housing when she disappeared. Phoenix police say they received a missing person report from facility staff on January 19th, 4 days after she was last seen. 9 days later, on January 28th, Tolleson police say they found a deceased person in an apartment near 91st Avenue and I-10.
I'm just trying to make sense of it. It doesn't feel real to me.
Tolleson police are not providing many details about Yesenia's case other than to say they're investigating her death as a homicide and they do not believe there's an ongoing danger to the public. I'm Senior Investigator Melissa Blasius, ABC 15, Arizona.
Sorry, got a email that I was like trying to like do at the same time as like do this. I want to know more about that. Like whose apartment is that, and why are they not releasing more information about where she was found? Hold on, let me look up this apartment. The apartment complex. So they responded to an apartment complex around 91st Avenue and I-10 regarding the reports of a possible deceased person inside one of the units. Whose unit? That's what I would like to know. Is it her unit or a different unit? They're saying here, officers said they conducted a welfare check of that apartment and located a body inside. Suspicious circumstances were identified, leading detectives to believe the death may be a homicide. According to Tolleson police, investigators have no information to suggest an immediate threat to the public. They declined to provide to provide the victim's name or additional details. Who owned the apartment? Is it her apartment or she was at somebody else's apartment? That's what I would like to know about this. Hold on. Whose apartment is it? Let me look it up. Um, so I just saw a thing from Justin Lum just saying that it has been classed a homicide and it is listed in their database as a homicide. Hmm. I'd want to know. They got to find out who she was going to meet up with. That's obviously the big question here. And then whose apartment is it? Because it doesn't say. They said it was transitional. The apartment is transitional? No, they said she was missing. Yes, they said she was missing from her apartment, but then they said they found her in an apartment. So who owned that apartment? It's very strange. The officer, yeah. Norman was reported missing to Phoenix PD on January 19. According to the Phoenix Police Department, the officer was provided with Norman's information by staff at the transitional facility where she had been residing. That's normally for young people who are aging out. Because she's 18, she would have been aging out of the youth system, which is like group housing. So she would have been aging out of that, which is probably why she was in a transitional like housing. As someone who grew up in that system, I can tell you that's how it works. A detective was assigned to the case on January 28. Tolson police responded to an apartment complex around 91st Avenue and I-10 regarding the reports of that dead body. That's really effing strange. I'd want to know more about that apartment. They don't clarify whether it's her apartment, the one she was missing from, with the transitional housing, or this is where she was heading to meet someone. Whether they had an Airbnb and then they found her in the Airbnb, like a short-term rental. It's I don't know. It's not her apartment. Okay. I I I feel very sorry for this girl and her family. It sounds like she met up with a date. That's what it's sounding like. That she was going to meet up with possibly a male, and they were probably going to have like some sort of date night or something, and everything has sort of gone backwards. I'm concerned because if they found her in a place, there must be a name on that apartment. You can't rent a place without putting a name. You can't hire a place even if it's a fake name. You can't hire a place without like for a short-term rental without putting a name, even if it's like some fake, novelty name. You have to put something. So, and I know they don't give everything to the public, but some of the details in this particular investigation seem very opaque and need to become more clear. I'm just trying to see if there's another source of information other than Fox 10. I don't see one, unfortunately. Let me do some more research into this. I actually know a couple of reporters in Phoenix, and let me reach out to them overnight and see what I can find out about this Yesenia one, and see if I can come up with anything good for you guys. Warner Steele said someone requested a welfare check. Maybe they heard something. I think they saw something, and I think that's why they requested the welfare check. Kelly said it was an apartment shared with others that works with DCS. Well, that sounds like transitional housing, because that's what it is. There's just some things that don't seem right. if it is a shared housing apartment, then where are the other people? Why have they not been named? Why are they not being talked about? Did they just leave a dead girl there? Like, there's just so many questions that don't have answers. Poor girl, 18. It's so young. All right, yeah, leave that one with me overnight, and I will see what I can find. I'll talk to a couple of reporters I know in Phoenix. Kelly said it was, yeah, I'm gonna get some more research on that. Because there's just so many things that don't make any sense. Because if it was a shared, yeah, here. So she was last seen on January 19. She had been living at a transitional facility that is contracted with the Arizona Department of Child Safety. So that is like CPS type thing. And then they said they found her in an apartment near I-10. That can't be the same apartment, I don't think. Yeah, let me see if I can find out. Let's go there. Let's go to 91st Avenue and I-10 in that area. Can we go to it? Let's go to our maps. I know they say near, so we're gonna have to. What are you looking for? I-10, and what was the other one? I lost it. 91st and I-10. All right. So we got 99. We want 91st. Oh my God, there's so many apartments. There's like heaps of them. Okay, there's I-10. Yeah, let me guys take you here. There's I-10. And there's 99th Avenue, but we want 91. There's 95th, 92nd, 91st Drive, 91st Ave. Yeah, so 91st and I-10. 91st and I-10. So there's 91st. There's I-10. I mean, there's so many places around here. Like, look at all the housing. I don't see a lot of apartments though. I see a lot of like normal housing. I don't see many apartments. Park lofts. I mean, these are apartments. These ones here. This would be near I-10. You know what's funny? This is McDowell Road. This is not far from where that kid jumped out of that car at the car wash. Remember that about a year ago? There was a kid that his mom was driving him to Louisiana, and he jumped out of the car at the car wash. That was here at I-10 and McDowell. So that was not too far away from here. So there is some apartments here, the Fairfield by Marriott Inns and Suites. And then you've got these other ones over here that look like other types of apartments right here. These are the only ones near I-10 and the crossroad that they gave. Like, if we go back the other way, there's no apartments. That looks like a store, like a strip mall. There's like no other apartments. They're all homes. Like, these are all homes. These are businesses. These are the only ones that are sort of close by. Interesting. I'll see if I can track it down exactly where they found her. The place you mentioned is a hotel. The one next door is, right? Not that one. I thought it was only the one next door that's a hotel. if that's true, like they're like serviced apartments, so semantics on what it actually is. And then you got an Amazon warehouse. I mean, it says park lofts, apartment complex. So I mean, I'm gonna call it an apartment complex, and these would be like short-term rentals. Maybe whoever she was meeting up with rented one of these for the weekend or whatever. I mean, it's possible. All right. Leave it with me overnight. I'll see what I can find out. All right. All right. It's a short one tonight. I have to go help Mrs. Ping, unfortunately, and she's on her way home. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? We'll do a much longer show tomorrow. Hopefully an early show and a late show, so you get two tomorrow. Okay? I love you all. Good night. Bye.